I'm sorry I sort of jumped the gun there before your break, but we have a show going up at Leland and Gray on Friday, and so I've got to get back and do all kinds of stuff for rehearsal today. Never a dull moment. What I wanted to do is draw your attention to things happening in the lively arts in the valley. And of course, this is just my own little home cooked thing, you know, run on draft on my little printer. I really want to thank Bauman, because anytime anything at all is going on, he's so good about getting it on the Newfane webpage. And but this is just a little roundup of what's coming up in the lively arts that I know of. But if you know of other things, take one of these and send me the info, and I'll just keep putting stuff on Front Porch Forum. But just quickly, Hats Off, which is our annual cavalcade of comedy, song, and dance that we look great. This is Friday and Saturday. Rock River Players welcome you. We have our monthly meeting coming up Monday. We're going to brave us here in the hall without a peep. Bless you. Everybody is welcome in the Rock River Players. We need talents of all kinds. Up in Townsend, they're doing their Community Hope in Action. I put the wrong name on here. Community Hope in Action talent show on March 18th. And then this is where the drum roll comes in, okay? Thanks to Johanna and Bauman and Breeze for doing the sound and all that. We are having the Williamsville, one and only, Williamsville Newfane talent show, Saturday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Be there, be square, and if you want to perform, please see Johanna ASAP, okay? And then other little heads up coming up in May is Dracula, Rock River Players Productions. We've had a couple personnel changes in cast, so we've got to do some retooling, but watch your media. And then lastly, moms and dads of rising 5th to 8th graders. Don't forget the Leland and Gray Players Summer Performing Arts Exploration. I just want to say one thing before I call on Steve. The mission of the Rock River Players is to keep this hall full of life beyond what the Williamsville Hall Committee already does such a great job at. We want to have people in here enjoying life, enjoying each other, enjoying the arts 4 times a year. That's our goal, so come help us. Yes, Steve?
Okay, just a minute. Do you have a question about this, Steve?
Yeah, well, I have an addition. Steve Levine from Williamsville. I always like to say Williamsville is part of the town of Newfane. And Dan, who's still on, April 15th. Dan's going to do an amazing job again like he did last year with the Charlie Chaplin movie. He's going to do another interpretation of another classic silent Joan of Arc. So that's April 15th, the Saturday night. Add it to that list and don't miss it. Thank you.
All right. Actually, there are people who let me know in advance about their announcements, and I'd like to give them a chance, and then there's a chance for everybody else who has an announcement. But Sandy Stark is handy at information. Sandy, you want to stand up? She's an early childhood advocacy and child care financial assistance program. She's collecting petition signers in support of increased investments in high-quality, affordable child care on behalf of Let's Grow Kids. She is a Williamsville resident, a part of the Parent-Child Center coordinator at Early Education Services, and co-chair of the Southeast Vermont Building Bright Futures Council. And she has a few things to say. Sandy.
Since I've covered most of it. So again, I'm Sandy Stark, and I am wearing a few hats today. Again, a Williamsville resident. I am the Parent-Child Center coordinator at Early Education Services, which is our regional Parent-Child Center. If you want to read about that, you can look in your town report, because we are one of the organizations that the town does donate to. And I'm also here wearing a Let's Grow Kids hat. I'm volunteering for them today just to get the word out about their campaign. Let's Grow Kids is doing a statewide campaign basically focusing on increasing affordable, high-quality child care in Vermont. The younger years are the most important for brain development, and they definitely are an indicator of the success of the child. So there is a real emphasis going on right now, fortunately in our state, to fund early learning opportunities for children and focus on the early years. And there is a petition up front support public investment in affordable, high-quality childcare. And there's also some other information there from Let's Grow Kids as well. So I may not be here at the end of town meeting. That information will stay, so if you're interested in checking it out and signing the petition, please do. Thank you very much.
We had Hats Off this weekend. We have the talent show on April 1st. We have the movie on April 15th. And on Sunday, March 26th, we have the 3rd annual Historical Society of Windham County's Soup Fest and Silent Auction. This is the West River Railroad fundraiser. It will be held at the Newbrook Firehouse. Doors open at 4. Tickets are only $5. Bidding, it's also bidding, and the 50-50 raffles start at 4 o'clock. Bidding ends at 5:30. Soup and bread will be served at 5:30 with desserts to follow. It's a great way to shake off the winter blues, I'm reading. And hear more about the Newfane Railroad Station Restoration Project. Come home with an auction find or two. See the Historical Society's website for event updates, and that's the Historical Society of WindhamCounty.org. I have another announcement from We Can. Where did they go? Here, on March 19th, also a day that we don't have another event so far, to learn more about what folks in Windham County are doing to organize around key issues. Hear about groups addressing climate justice, racial and economic justice, political organizing, and more. The event is from noon until 4 p.m. at the Winston Prouty campus, the former Austin School in Brattleboro. The speakers will be there, people to meet from dozens of organizations, food will be available, bring your kids, there will be fun activities. The event is organized by We Can, which stands for Windham County Action Network, a nonpartisan umbrella group whose goal is to share information about different organizing activities across the county. More information can be found at wecantogether.net or on Facebook. And I don't know if people saw it. Obviously, not everybody did see, but these are the announcements that came in. We might call for announcements. If there are other announcements, now is the time. And I think there's one here. Yeah, right? Okay.
Well, first of all, I just want to
Stand up. And
everyone from here,
Can you hear me better now? Okay. Well, I'm Carol Hatcher, and I thank everyone for coming and participating in town governance. And before we actually get started in the nuts and bolts, I would like to mention that we have several town officers, elected officials that are retiring. And I just want to mention them. We have our wonderful town clerk, Gloria Cristilli, our town treasurer. Who also is very famous and has a movie made about her, and you can go to the you can go to the town website and check it out. But our town treasurer, who is also the collector of delinquent taxes, Maureen Albert Piasek. And our assistant town clerk, Deidre Dunham. Are you here? No, she's not here, but she worked very hard for all of us. And we have our wonderful select board chair, who for some reason was not able to make it today. But he has done a great job as a select board member for 8 years, and he is retiring as a select board member. So let's give Todd Lawley a hand. Again, thank you for coming.
Are there any other announcements, Chris?
Chris Cantor, Newfane. Just wanted to remind folks there's a group that forms within the town called Newfane and New Community Volunteers. It's still a very loosely formed organization consisting of volunteers providing group activities like Winterfest, putting the flags up. We also assist with other groups like helping the Moore Free Library with their events. We've assisted the Legion with the Memorial Day Parade, provided the concert on the green, but this stuff only happens because of people volunteering. And it's a relatively small group of us, and we need more of you. And it really is a lot of fun. We don't meet a lot. We keep our meetings very short and to the point about getting stuff done. Anyway, we hope you would join us. Feel free to, we've got a Facebook page. We don't really have an email address. Try to figure out the best way to reach out to us. I guess through Facebook, or just reach out to one of us. There are a few of us here in the room. Priscilla Cotton, Bob. We got Jen Fry. Who else is here? Gloria. Stand up if you're participating with us. Anyway. But also, it'd be great to have more representation from Waynesville and South Newfane. We've got a lot. We're kind of village heavy. So, thanks.
It is, thank you. It's 11:58. I would like, and I'm sure you would like, to get on with town business, and then we have other business when there's time for more announcements, if you think of things that need to be said. We are all the way on Article 2. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the treasurer to collect current taxes pursuant to 3 VSA 4791? Is there a motion? Yeah. I'm recognizing Pete Van Loan. Who moves? Would you like to second it? Okay. The Article 2 reads, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the treasurer to collect current taxes pursuant to 32 VSA 4791? Pete, do you want to talk to that first?
I think it's a great idea.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the vote? Okay, and you know that if you vote aye, you're in favor of this. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the treasurer to collect current taxes pursuant to 32 VSA subsection 4791? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 2 passes. Article 3. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane pay taxes for the ensuing year on a quarterly basis due on the 15th of August, October, January, and April, the late charge for interest being at the maximum legal rate of 1% per month for the current fiscal year and 1.5% per month for each month thereafter until paid? Is there a motion? And that's Doris? Pardon? Yes. Yeah. Has moved it, and is there a second? Maureen seconded it. Article 3 has been moved and seconded, and it is, I have to read it. This is Robert's Rules. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane pay taxes for the ensuing year on a quarterly basis due on the 15th of August, October, January, and April, the late charge of interest being at the maximum legal rate of 1% per month for the current fiscal year and 1.5% per month for each month thereafter until paid? Is there any discussion? Doris, you made the motion. Would you like to say anything? No. Hearing none. Are you ready for the question? Yes. All right. An aye vote means you're in favor of Article 3, which is, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane pay taxes for the ensuing year on a quarterly basis due on the 15th of August, October, January, and April, the late charge for interest being at the maximum legal rate of 1% per month for the current fiscal year and 1.5% per month for each month thereafter until paid. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and the Article 3 passes. And everybody now knows what 4 dates their taxes are due. Article 4, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Selectboard to sell or otherwise convey property acquired through tax sale proceedings? Is there a motion? So moved. Gloria has moved it. Is there a second? Doris has seconded it. Article 4 has been moved and seconded, and shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Selectboard to sell or otherwise convey property acquired through tax sale proceedings is now open for discussion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. You ready for the vote? If you vote yes, you're in favor of Article 4. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Selectboard to sell or otherwise convey property acquired through tax sale proceedings? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 4 passes. Article 5. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane raise and appropriate the sum of $5,178 for Southern Vermont Economic Development Strategies, known as SeVEDS, and this is not in the budget. Is there a motion? It has been moved. Is there a second? Luke has seconded. Article 5 has been moved and seconded. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane raise and appropriate the sum of $5,178 for Southern Vermont Economic Development Strategies? And this is not in the budget. It is now open for discussion. And is Alex Beck still here? If there is no objection, Alex Beck, who is not a Newfane resident, is here to answer questions or explain this article. Are there any objections? Hearing none. Alex, if you'd like to take the floor, it's yours.
Thank you all so much for having me here. SeVEDS is a regional economic development organization, and we serve all the towns in Newfane County and a few more that we consider the Windham region. The funding that we request is from a number of towns. It's the same for every town. We request $3 per person. And what this funding helps is our workforce and education programming. So of all the things that our communities share, it is in fact the people and the skills that are required to make our entire economy run. So the programs that we have that this funding goes towards are, one of them is a high school career awareness program that we just piloted last year with a number of high schools. Because of the transition with Bob coming in as a new Leland and Gray principal, we did not pilot it at Leland and Gray last year, but having spoken with Bob and Bill Anton, we are very excited to be piloting it again, starting at Leland and Gray next year. Having seen a lot of the conversations around the budget of the high school, we find it very important to ensure that the career services and the guidance services are well supported. So both the emotional and the emotional needs of our students are cared for, but also their pursuit of the careers that they want and helping them find those careers. So this program takes students to local employers and shows them what local career paths look like. And the goal, of course, is so that when they graduate high school and should they decide to go on to college, that they are best prepared to work here in Windham County. And so in doing so, they will hopefully buy homes here, have kids here, and send their kids to the schools. So we see it not only as an education program, but a long-term retention program of our young people.
Over 100 students throughout the county have been a part of the pilot last year. We take them a number of places. W&W Building is a strong partner of ours, so we already have a relationship with the owners of that business. So we've already met with Stratton to show, so that when Leland and Gray students are ready, we can show the careers available there, and a number of other employers that SeVEDS has been working with for many years. We run other programs like a college internship program that all of those internships are paid, and local employers, and the Young Professionals Group of Windham County. And that is another retention program, and that's really designed to make our entire county an attractive place for young people to move, to work, and again, to have children and put their children in our schools, because we know how important that is. I would be absolutely happy to entertain any questions about any of the programs, and any regional economic development questions that I can answer.
All right. Tristan has a question?
Thank you. Tristan Johnson, Newfane. How do you sustain the impact on students of the training programs you offer so that the impact lasts longer than the training, or the weeks or months just after?
That's an excellent question. So we find that this new pilot program is a very, very strong partner with Act 77, so flexible pathways. So not only do we take students on field trips and talk about specific careers, but we also can help coach them to engage with their personal learning plans and make sure that their academic path, however long that will be, is pointed in the right direction. So this high school program is an awareness and exploration. So we want students to visit a place of employment, whatever that might be, and say, this is what I want to do. And then over the years, whether it's still in high school, working on their personal learning plans, or helping them with career and college readiness, we have very close relationships with all the 6 colleges in the area. So if a student is looking to go to higher education in Windham County, we can absolutely help with that as well. And so the continuum really does, in terms of engagement and impact, we are excited to work with students from high school all the way, if they choose, through employment if they stay in Windham County. And our goal in the coming years is to extend these programs into the elementary and middle school system as well. So we are always looking to expand both the impact, but find ways that we can create a flexible pathway and a true pathway, and to be able to be involved through every step of the way, whether they are here in Newfane or decide to go to Marlborough College, which isn't very far.
I'd like to ask Dan,
You mentioned you were able to coach kids about jobs and things. So could you just tell us how many coaches do you have, and are they counselors or teachers? What sort of
So,
what kind of jobs?
absolutely. So we are agnostic to the career paths, in the sense that we are not advocating for students to pursue any specific careers. What we really do is we work with the guidance counselors. So this program was designed through meetings with existing guidance counselors, and they said they identified where they perceive the gaps to be. So we did a number of surveys, and what they really said is we're really comfortable working with the students in the schools and providing that support, but what they're lacking is the input from the private sector. So in order for them to prepare the students that they're working with for the jobs after high school, it's that input from employers that's been lacking. So that's really the part of that relationship that we've been supporting. So we have one person, myself, running the high school program, and I rotate for any of the schools, and anytime the program is requested, I'll be there. We also have another staff member who runs the internship program and manages a lot of those employer relationships. And our goal through fundraising in this next year is to hire a specific person to be in, to split their time in each school that is specifically dedicated to providing those services that you just enumerated. So right now, that one-on-one is often with the existing guidance counselors, but what we do is we help empower those guidance counselors with information that they may not have or have the time to seek out themselves. I hope that answered your question.
anyone else who has an answer question? Yes.
Hi, Susan Dunmore. I'm a social worker in the area. I'm curious.
Nika? Yes, absolutely. So as I've mentioned, we haven't yet piloted this at Leland and Gray, but they were very much a part of the surveys and the meetings. We called it the Educators Workforce Committee. And so what we brought in is all the educators who are working on career and guidance and had them provide their input so that whatever we did design would align with what their needs were. And so this capacity for Leland and Gray to engage this past year, because of Bob Tybalt coming in, was just, it was really a scheduling and administration, that complexity we couldn't really address, but I think that the buy-in is very much there, and the input in building this, Leland and Gray was absolutely included, so we're absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to ask why the funding is not in the budget.
So can you answer why the requested funding is not in the budget?
So when we approach all of the municipalities, and that list is growing because we aren't a very big organization, we are only petitioned about, I believe it's 13 towns this year. We provide the select board an opportunity to either include us in the budget, warn us as a separate article, and of course they're always allowed to ask us to petition. And that's the select board's decision, and we're really grateful for the opportunity we have. So I think the select board can address that.
Does someone on the select board want to answer that? Address that?
I'm Gary Delius, Newfane. If you turn to page 17, you'll see there's an extensive list of organizations that we also provide funding to. And as part of our process this year, we ask each and every organization to tell us what was your organization's direct impact on the citizens of Newfane. In other words, how many people did you service in Newfane? And SeVEDS does not have a program yet that really impacts us directly. In other words, they can't tell us we support 25 people in the town of Newfane. And when an organization couldn't do that, we asked them to come to you as a petition to let you see if you wanted to support that organization. That's it.
Just to respond to that, SeVEDS was not supported, so we didn't provide them any money. Therefore, how could they give us what they have done for Newfane? 2 years ago, it was voted out of the budget, and it was a lengthy discussion prior to that, having to do and the person who was going to speak to it had to leave for medical appointments for his children. Therefore, it just got dropped with the idea that, oh, nobody's here to support it. So you couldn't find them saying, we've done this for Newfane. We participated only 1 year in that. And also the article is on here because they provided all the signatures for a petition. It wasn't put on simply by the board saying we're going to put it on. So I think that's very important, and Luke was the gentleman who was not able to speak to it that year.
I can speak now. So what Gary, I think I can be a direct example of what SeVEDS has done. So I own a business. It's in Brattleboro, but I live here in Newfane. I'm also on the SeVEDS board. I believe strongly enough in the mission of SeVEDS that I've actually co-opted it and made it my own business mission as well. It's kind of our why. So my business, I hired 7 people last year. It's growing very rapidly. I own a marketing agency in Brattleboro. And we rely on young people that have skills in tech and the digital marketing world. So I'll give you one example of a direct, through the internship program, which Alex runs, we hired a woman who's from Alabama. She went to school in Middlebury, and she wanted to stay in Vermont. She knew that. She saw the internship program. We quickly brought her in, and within a month hired her on full time. She's been there over a year now. So that's one example. Our mission in Mondo now is community building through economic development. So that's there are jobs in manufacturing, there are jobs in healthcare, and those jobs are going to be here for the next 5 to 10 years. But there's not a lot of opportunity for young people is in the professional creative field around here, right? So that's what my agency is. I need young, talented creatives. They don't have to be young, but that's one thing we can do. Like, what's our problem? This whole Act 46 is out there because we're losing people, right? We can't afford for our high school students to leave. We can't afford for people that come here for college to leave again and go somewhere else where there's more opportunity. So that's why that's the SeVEDS mission, and that's why we've made it our mission at Mondo. Why are we growing, right? My business is growing, but I need a why, and it's this. This is something we can do, is provide opportunity. There's another gentleman that works at Mondo. He's our videographer. He lives right over there on Grimes Hill. That's a direct job we were able to create. He had a daughter last year, a 1-year-old who's going to be going through the school system here. I started my business here 7 years ago. I have 2 kids in the school system. I'm trying to, that's all the kids I can make. But I think we could get other young people here and make some kids.
I'm Maureen Alder-Cassick, South Newfane. I just want you to refer to that page 17 again and just make people aware of Newfane that, and I would like to know how you came up with that amount of $5,178 when our special appropriations, we don't even pay that to Grace Cottage Hospital, which is very important to us. So this would be the highest paying special appropriations except for Rescue Inc. So I just want the people of the town aware of that. I feel personally that's a very high amount for what they're offering.
Sure, I can explain to where we came up with that number. Because we petition so many municipalities, we determined, and our board determined, that asking for the same amount per person, per town, was the most fair way for us to approach that that issue. So the number comes from a $3 per person appropriation. Because we are a regional economic development organization, and the thing, again, that we all share is our people, because people move in and out of towns and in and out of areas, whereas businesses are stuck. So if we did it based on how many businesses were located in one town or the other, that probably would not be fair. So we really took a by person approach, and this is the same amount we're requesting from every town we're approaching. Yeah, I think that's where. $3 per taxpayer, sorry.
Who has this weapon? Yeah, but
Sorry, but I'm a little skeptical. Could you tell me what you have done to bring a business here or to create some business here?
In the town of Newfane?
No, not in Newfane, just the county, let's say.
What our organization does, we are the parent or a partner organization of the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, and so there are projects like the GS Precision expansion and the Chroma Technology Core expansion in Rockingham. Those are good examples of significant job creation measures that we've had. Our cotton mill building, we also curate that space as well. And so the way that the cotton mill is designed is that for new businesses, we offer below market rent, so that if you are a new business, you have a place to be incubated and to start off. And Mondo Media Works is a good example. When they were looking to expand, they were looking for a place to buy. And rather than do that, we were able to convince them to move into the cotton mill and save some money and continue to grow their business without having to struggle through the pursuit of space. We are constantly filling more and more of those locations. Companies like True North Granola, Tavernier Chocolates, New England Center for Circus Arts, all of those organizations are actually housed in the cotton mill. And an organization like NECA is actually a fantastic example of when they first came to the cotton mill, They were a quite small organization. They had a small space, and over the years they have, I would say slowly, but not actually slowly, taken over an entire wing of the building. And now they're at the point where they are purchasing their own, or they've already purchased and are building their own building on Putney Road in Brattleboro. So it's not so much as the businesses that we can necessarily convince to move here. It's the people who want to start businesses here, and it's providing that kind of support. We have business startup support through our Instigate program, and that's really for small and medium-sized businesses that we provide anything. We actually partnered with Mondo Media Works to provide marketing support for those organizations. So it's not directly incentivizing businesses or tricking them into moving here. It's creating the environment for businesses to thrive. And I think that a big part of that is the people. And what we've heard is that the access to employees is the single biggest factor for growth and for new businesses coming. So a business may say, we want to move to Windham County. What's the workforce look like? Could we hire enough people if we created 50 jobs? And so that's why we pivoted away from how many businesses, big businesses, can we convince to move here, to how can we ensure that if a business is growing and adding jobs, that those jobs are hired or filled by Windham County's best students and the best residents, and making sure that they have access to those high-wage jobs so they can stay here.
Johanna Gardner, Newfane. This sounds to me like something that we have in various forums discussed as being really needed for the West River Valley. I think it's a great idea. And if I can I call a question?
You can call the question. Are you aware that there are people who've not spoken once who still want to speak?
Well, how about if they speak and then...
Well, I know that Mike had his hand up and that because we wanted to speak a second time, but...
I'm willing to throw my 3 minutes in.
Thank you. This is Josh from Newfane. If this passes, I'd like to be sure that what's tied to the passing is an impact report that very clearly tells all of us the use of those dollars, the sustainable impact of those dollars, and the trajectory that you're creating by the use of those dollars.
Absolutely, and we have that for the other towns, but because this is our first time here with someone here, I don't have that yet, but next year, ask me for it and you'll get it.
No, it needs to be before the meeting.
Of course, it'll be in.
I don't need that.
It'll be in the. We'll have something in your report. You know, in the town report, talking about all the progress we've made with your report.
So are you ready to vote now? Yeah. Second.
I'll second.
It wasn't seconded. So the vote is on Article 5. It is a yes vote is in favor of Article 5, which is appropriating the sum of. So I'm going to read the question. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane raise and appropriate the sum of $5,178 for Southern Vermont Economic Development Strategies? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 5 passes.
Thank you all very much.
I have this, it's where it goes into the budget later.
We'll get there. Okay, we will have to add, we have to add $5,178. Let's see if it gets higher. All right, are you ready for Article 6? Okay, Article 6. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane vote to authorize capital fund expenditures in the amount of $381,638 as proposed in the Capital Needs Plan for Fiscal Year 2018. Is there a motion? I need a name. Kim. And is there a second? Chris Campany. Do you want to speak to it? All right. Is there any discussion of, I have to read it again. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane vote to authorize capital fund expenditures in the amount of $381,638 as proposed in the capital needs plan for fiscal year 2018? Now the motion is up for discussion, and you still have the first chance to speak to it if you'd like. All right. Is there any discussion? Yes. Got that.
Can we have specifics?
Could you stand up, please? Could we have specifics? Are you asking the select board for some information, or do you want anyone to answer that?
I would like the select board to specify the need for all of that money.
Okay, is there someone on the select board who's willing to answer that? Mike? Please use the
specifics.
No, the microphone. Page 18 or 20.
Let me refer you to pages 18 through 20, which shows you what is actually to be, where those monies are actually spent. You'll notice that one of the columns is titled FY 2018, Article 6. That is the column which adds up to the $381,638. Individually, it's highway equipment, bridges, highway improvements, town buildings, debt service payments.
Dan.
Yeah, I just have a question. I noticed on some of these bonds, like the highway, the bridge number 14 bond, like we're paying like 12 grand in capital and almost half that in interest. Would it be if we save money, like in several more years of that spread out, if we just like decided to put that those future years in, we would have a higher capital payment now, but we would save, $70,000 a year for the next 5 or 6 years. Would that save us money in the long run? We decided to just take a bigger bite now instead of, because right now those interest payments are like half of the principal. It seems like a lot to me. Money, right?
We're communicating.
I couldn't hear the voice.
It probably would be, and we will certainly look at that prior to next year's budget. The budget that's for you now has already been worked through with all the payment mechanisms, all the items to be purchased, et cetera. But we will certainly put that into our deliberations for next year.
Is there any other discussion of Article 6? Yes, Kim.
A question about the town office capital improvements, given that there were 2 unsuccessful attempts to raise the funds necessary for a new town office building. I'm wondering what the hope and plan is for improvements in the existing structure to make it a tenable workspace.
There's always a lot of hope. Very few plans at this moment, but we do have a few. The town office is always in need of repairs, paint, insulation, broken this and broken that, and as well as mold and all of these things. It's always in need of something. And so in the past, the town has always been generous in putting away some maintenance funds. This year, we do have some things that are going to be taken care of inside. We're not doing anything huge, but the plans that I know about at this point are for cleanliness and paint and insulation. And those are the things that, but the town office committee, I haven't been a part of that for a while, but they would, Doris can speak to any other plans that may be formulating. Yep.
Do you want to speak to
At
that,
one
Doris?
of our previous meetings recently, we also discussed the fact that we've had one possible bid, well, we've had a bid, but it's not been announced what that bid is, to take care of the outside of the building. And so that's one thing that's under discussion right now, and we'll be getting other bids hopefully for that.
One more answer. Just a second.
There's a very active town hall building committee. And some of the folks who are working on that are here. Two of them are sitting up here, and Doris and Frank back in the audience, and Karen. Yep. And we're working diligently to work with the monies that we have available to try to bring the building more up to standards. If you refer to page 20, the bottom section on buildings, it will show you what our plans, well, it doesn't give you the details of them, but it shows you where those monies are going to be expended, 50,000 of which would be on town hall itself. Town office building. Yeah.
Is there further discussion? Do you want to speak?
And we've been working on various things for making improvements. And as was mentioned, we're putting together bid specifications for the painting of the outside and the inside of the building. And then there'll be some other things that we have on our list to make improvements for the existing building, for making it a lot nicer to work in. And to look better than what it does, especially on the outside, and to take some pride for the people who live in the town and for us who work there. So that's what we're working on.
Lynn Bedell?
Bedell Williamsville. I have a question for the committee. Newfane is a historical village. Is the town hall on the
Town office, no.
Is it listed on the historical?
No, it's a town office and it's not listed on the historic.
Would it behoove us to do that and then go with the money?
I don't know that it qualifies.
Why not?
It doesn't qualify.
It's not old enough.
It doesn't qualify.
Yeah, Gloria.
I believe too, Lynn, that because it's a municipal building, you're not going to get those monies. Our putting the language into the town plan of village centers, that the town
got some historical money for this long.
Okay, but can we just not have a conversation? Thank you.
All right. Most big money that we could get from those kinds of things don't apply to the town hall. But I hope
Is there further discussion? You ready for the question? Article 6, and I vote is in favor of the expenditure. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane vote to authorize capital fund expenditures in the amount of $381,638 as proposed in the capital needs plan for fiscal year 2018? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 6 passes. Article 7. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Selectboard to raise the amount of $206,400 for fiscal year 2018 capital needs? Is there a motion? And is there a second? Did you get that? Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Selectboard to raise the amount of $206,400 for fiscal year 2018 capital needs? Dr. Schaefer, do you want to speak to that?
Tim Schaefer, Williamsville. We agreed to spend the money, we better raise it.
Is there, stand up and say it louder, please.
We agreed to spend the money, we better raise it. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes. Why isn't it the same amount as what we just agreed to?
Is there someone on the select board who can answer that? Please, let's, I know we've been here a long time. We might have a 7th article break after this, but let's get through it first.
Thanks to Tim for pointing out that, yes, in fact, in the previous motion, you did authorize the programs. Now we have to fund those programs. And this is just one part of funding that $381,000. This part is the amount which would come out of the taxes. Then you'll see other steps below, which will come out of other funds and reserve funds, et cetera, which make up the whole $381,000. So it's not all coming from the taxpayer. There are parts that are coming from various other budget line items, and they all go together to make up the $381,000 that you just previously approved.
Is there further discussion? Doris?
Doris Mitchell? I understand there was a, at one of your meetings, you voted to put, say, some surplus funds of $230,000 into the capital. I do see a notation of the hundred security. So I'm wondering where.
Can you please speak up? I don't think everybody can hear you.
I remember hearing that they can't hear you.
I'm sorry,
Here.
I want to get it. I have.
I understand that the select board voted to put from a surplus of $230,000 into the capital fund, except that I don't see that. I see $130,000 that's mentioned in there, so I'm just wondering if you were going to put, why we're doing another 206, and then further on, you're putting another 100,000 in. So I want to know about the surplus, which normally a surplus is decided by the voters as to how they want it used.
Sure. I think this is the surplus that is for next year's budget, and that's why you will not see it in this town report. Because this town report is last year. No.
A surplus, excuse me,
Okay. You want to respond? Go ahead.
a surplus is from, in here you have your, the audit. That audit tells you what the surplus is. You use that surplus, if that's what you're going to do, with the approval of the townspeople, the voters, and how they want to use it. And it doesn't wait for another year after that. It should be mentioned in this here. And you have, the only thing I see is the 130,000 that you have fiscal year 2016. So does that mean that next year you're going to be putting in 230,000 for surplus?
That I agree with the free cash over for this fiscal cycle, which will appear next year. It will be available to us after July 30th this year. That's our understanding. June 30th. I'm sorry.
Doris, did you hear that answer?
And the 200,000 is going to the 2017.
Just wait. So this is not helpful to voters. We need one person to speak clearly so that the voters understand. Which one of you will do that? Mike, can you please?
Well, it says the balance is shown as of June 30th, 2016. I don't.
Okay, but you don't need to, let's say it loud so everybody understands.
Yeah, I said that what it was is the balance is shown as of June 30th, 2016 in the book. And this 200,000 will show up in the current 2017 fiscal year. And this is being voted on to spend for this following year.
So this is, hang on, what's going on here? So, you're saying that there is a surplus from 2016, and where is that?
Well, I mean, I didn't do the whole thing on the book. All I know is she sent us the thing. Neither one of them do it here today. What it did. And as of 2000, it says June 30th, 2016, this money will be currently added into the fiscal year 2017. So it doesn't show when you use the fiscal year.
I'm not sure people are hearing you.
No.
No?
Use the mic. Mike.
Okay. Just use the mic.
Mike.
Yeah. When we were having our budget meetings, which were many in the end of last year and going into January, there was one evening when it was suggested that since we have a surplus of, I think it was $200,000, that if we could add that to our capital fund, we would then be able to use that money to pay off our debts in a faster way, and to know that we have that extra money to work with. As far as what Doris just said about that we needed voter approval, is that what you said, Doris? That was not mentioned in our meeting, I have to say. That's the only thing I can tell you, and I think,
That's exactly it.
yeah.
So what would the voters, what's the pleasure of the voters? Where does what show? So your question is, where does the $200,000 surplus show up in the budget? Can someone on the select board show us that? They're looking for it.
On page 19, the bill says surplus transfer to capital fund, 130,000.
Correct.
But it says 200,000, and Doris said it was 230.
Got a lot of numbers. So Lynn, I'm sure nobody else heard what you just said, and I need you to repeat it so I can say it to them. What page? You're on page 19?
Page 19,
Yeah.
second column, fiscal year 2018.
Right, Article 6, which we've already passed, right?
And then down, under the sources of funds.
Yeah.
Fund, surplus transfers to capital, $130,000.
Right. And
It said the surplus is $200,000, and Doris seems to recall it was $230,000.
well, do you want to speak to that? There are, all these numbers are in this column under Article 6. So there is $100,000 added to surplus, to reserves. there is $130,000 surplus, and which equals your $230,000, and we haven't gotten to Article 8 yet, which is borrowing. So the bottom line of that, of Article 7, is taxes to be raised, which is where we are now. I can just point this out to you. It says it's all under Article 6, but in fact, some of it is Article 9. The addition to reserves is Article 9. The borrowing is Article 8. The taxes to be raised is Article 7, which is what we are on now, and Article 6, I believe, is just the total expenses and debt service, which we've already passed. Yeah.
The $100,000 that's there is what we're going to raise this year and put in some classes.
Is-
130 is the surplus.
That's what it looks like. It does appear as if $100,000, which we haven't gotten to, that's Article 9, and the $30,000 that we're going to borrow is Article 8, if we're going, that's for you to decide. And right now, Article 7 is to raise by taxes. Is that where we are? Yes. $206,400. So, I mean, I'm.
Well, I was asking if there's a $200,000 surplus, where's the other $75,000?
So, the question Lynn is asking is am I understanding you correctly? If there's a $200,000 surplus, where is it?
There's 130 shown here, but where's the other $70,000? Where'd that go?
There is, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of that.
There's $130,000 in surplus listed in this capital budget.
Yeah.
But they're saying there's a $200,000 surplus, so where's the other $70,000?
That's the question, is where is the other $70,000? Thank you for saying that so loudly. Do we have an answer? Yes.
We have an answer. Unfortunately, we're missing our chair, and we're also missing our administrative assistant due to an injury this morning. And so, of course, she has all of these figures memorized. But the question is about the $200,000 that we added to the reserve fund. And it isn't shown in the capital reserve fund. You're not going to see it because the balance shows as of June 30th, 2016. And we added it in this current fiscal year 17, so it doesn't show. Also, it's not being used in this fiscal year to defray proposed costs. So it's not listed on page 21 either. It will appear as a transfer in the fiscal year 17 audit.
So where's the $130,000 from? That's listed in the capital fund.
Those are the amounts that we have access to and are using for a purpose.
Now.
The other $200,000 you will see on next year's budget, where those monies are gone to. They are sitting. They are there. They're all safe and sound.
It has to do with the timing of the fiscal cycles, and the funds that are available to us from the surplus that we can use in this fiscal cycle was approved during last year's fiscal audits. And the money that's approved for this year's money, it won't be shown to you until next year's audit, and therefore it's called free cash, but it has to be approved by the auditors first before it's actually free cash. So it doesn't show up yet because it's not really there yet. The money's there. It has to be audited and approved, then we can actually use it. We can't use it yet until the auditors say, oh yeah, you have this much money left over.
Michael. Can you stand up?
Is it safe to say that if you add the additions to reserve in fiscal year 18 and 19 or 17 and 18, that's what accounts for $200,000?
No, you'll actually see that item coming up in a future article. They are unrelated. They happen to be the same number, but they're unrelated.
I think it's a difficult explanation to absorb to say it's free cash and it's not in the budget. So you need to account for that free cash somewhere. It would seem like a logical place to do that would be in reserve, not assigned to any other expenditure.
Gloria.
I'd like to go back to Doris's question or statement that my understanding of the state statute is that the voters of the town of Newfane have to approve of where we spend surplus. That the select board cannot just say, look, we're going to put it in here. Is that what you were saying initially, Doris?
Yes, there needs to be, if there's a surplus, in my working as administrative assistant in the past, surplus has to be approved for however the select board wants it, and they can do it to reduce taxes. If there's a surplus of $200,000, if they want to keep back $100,000, they can. But they need to ask the voters what they want to do with that surplus.
Kim.
There's the rules.
Maybe I'm missing something, but we are debating the request, the proposal's been made by the select board to use the surplus in this way. So if we don't support, yeah, this is their proposal. So they are bringing it to us for approval or disapproval. And if we don't feel that it's appropriate to use the $130,000 of surplus exactly for capital purposes, then I suggest that we vote down this article or that someone propose that it be amended.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? We're voting on Article 7. An aye vote is in favor of the article as written, and a no vote is against it. Article 7. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Select Board to raise the amount of $206,400 for fiscal year 2018 capital needs? All those in favor of this article, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no? No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and the article passes. I think everybody needs to stand up and stretch. It's the Article 7 stretch. If someone wants to sing a song, that would be fine.
Take me out to the ballgame.
Please take your seats. And let's move on to Article 8 after a brief announcement. Cat and dog owners are reminded that their dogs must be registered, licensed with the Town of Newfane by April 1st. There will be a rabies clinic on March 25th for all cats and dogs. It will be at the Newbrook Fire Department from 10 to 1, and the Newfane Town Clerk will be there with licenses to sell. After April 1st, the cost of licenses goes up. So that's Saturday, March 25th from 10 to 1. The Select Board would like me to announce that of their eight budget meetings, one townsperson came. And we just saw a real great example of the benefits of hive mind. So I am sure that the new Select Board would appreciate any input next year in December and January when our Select Board, whoever is elected, will be working on the budget that will be presented to you. November, December. It's a great way to get out of your holiday commitments. If you don't want to see your family. So you can just try to think about that for your social engagements. Article 8. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Select Board to borrow up to $30,000 for fiscal year 2018 capital needs? And who moves that? Chris. And who seconds it? Who was that? Tristan. So Article 8 has been moved and seconded. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Select Board to borrow up to $30,000 for fiscal year 2018 capital needs? Chris, do you want to speak to it? All right. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Are you ready for the vote? All right. An aye vote is in favor of borrowing $30,000. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize the Select Board to borrow up to $30,000 for fiscal year 2018 capital needs? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 8 passes. Article 9. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane vote to raise the amount of $100,000 to be added to the Capital Reserve Fund to be solely dedicated to future capital needs? Is there a motion? So moved. Myra moves it, and who seconds it? Tristram. It's been moved and seconded. Article 9, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane vote to raise the amount of $100,000 to be added to the Capital Reserve Fund to be solely dedicated for future capital needs? Myra, would you like to speak to that? Myra says we need the money. Is there further discussion? We do need to concentrate for a little while longer to finish our day's business. Hearing no further, there's no further discussion? You ready for the vote? Article 9, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane vote to raise the amount of $100,000 to be added to the Capital Reserve Fund to be solely dedicated to future capital needs? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 9 passes. Article 10. That's a cell phone. Excuse me. Article 10, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize Town and Highway operational expenditures in the amount of $1,378,908? Is there a motion?
Actually, we have a correction. Well, it has to be that's after.
I would rather do this amendment to leave a good paper trace. So is there a motion to put Article 10 as written on the floor? I move Article 10. Okay, and who seconds it? Okay, Maureen. So Article 10 as written has been moved and seconded. Shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize Town and Highway operational expenditures in the amount of $1,378,908? And I do remind the voters that it needs to be amended. Did you give me my paper back? No. Earlier in the day, you have added $5,178 to the budget. If you don't, you passed an article adding $5,178 to the budget. If you don't, if you want it to go in addition to what Article 10 raises, we need an amendment to that effect. There is a motion. I am going to say, I'm going to give you an opportunity to edit a proposed motion, all right? The amendment is to change Article 10 to read, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize Town and Highway operational expenditures in the amount of $1,380,000 it's $384,086. Is that the amendment you would like, sir? I thought so. Thank you. Is there a second to that amendment? Is there, who seconded it? I need, okay, Doris seconded it? Okay. So we have to vote on this amendment, and I'm going to read it once more so I'm rewriting it so I can read it. The amendment on the floor is to change the value that of money to be raised, or expended actually, not raised, but spent, to $1,384,086. Is there, it's been moved and seconded and now repeated, so if there's any discussion on this amendment, the floor is open. Okay. You're ready to vote on the amendment? Okay. So what you're voting on is changing the number. After that, we will then be back to either the original or the amended article, depending on what you do. So all those in favor of changing the value so that Article 10 reads, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize Town and Highway operational expenditures in the amount of $1,384,086, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and the amendment passes. So now, is there any discussion on the amended article? Yes? On the main motion. Yeah. Go ahead.
I may need edification. On page 17, Rescue Incorporated has asked for $46,585. I'm sorry, $47,983. And I do not see a report from Rescue Incorporated in the town report, and I thought that our policy, or standard, or whatever you want to call it, was that we have someone speak to the request if we do not have a report in the town report.
So, is there someone from the Select Board who can answer that? Can speak to that?
I was present in a meeting where we did have Rescue Inc. come and talk to us about it and shared all of the services that they provide to us. I don't remember the gentleman's name. Do you remember his name?
For rescue?
Yeah.
Wynn Clark.
Wynn Clark, I'm sorry. But yes, and so he did come, and he provided us with evidence of all of the services that are provided to the Newfane citizens.
Yes, Pete.
I was speaking at town meeting, not a select.
Oh, town meeting. Well, we don't usually, we have so many people asking for our citizens' money and donations, very good causes and organizations, that we have, they come to the Select Board, they present what they do and what the services that they provide for the citizens of Newfane. And it has been a policy, and I haven't been on the board that long, but it's been a policy that if they do serve our community and our citizens in all the different ways, that that is a litmus test that they are, and it's been something that we have, you've given money to in the past. But if they come and they cannot meet that standard, and they don't provide any real direct services to our townspeople, then we leave that decision up to you, and they generally come to the town meeting. I don't know why that they are not here, other than that.
I think you're referring to that their report is not listed in the town report. the report of their services. Yes.
Rather than someone here.
They did make a presentation to us,
Yes, they did.
and it was well described, and they knew they had a deadline to get the items into the town report. Shannon, who is the editor for the report, is not with us today, so I can't really tell you why it's not here, but they did come before us and they presented a presentation. We need to get it out to you as to exactly what they did, and we will see that it is placed on the town website, because it's a fair chunk of money.
Gunther.
It is in the budget with all of the other charities, and I think by habit, if it's in the budget, it doesn't need to be an article or be approved or anything like that.
That's true, but in the back of the book, you'll see all the agencies that we do provide monies for, provide us with a report of what they have done with our monies in the last year. And we do ask that every organization comply with that.
Good. Can you speak up?
Unless you've changed things, it used to be the first time a charity applied, an organization applied, they had to be put separately on the budget. Once they were approved, you can put the select board can put them in the budget unless they're asking for a substantial increase. So my guess is that rescue didn't ask for a substantial increase. But also, there was never a requirement that they had to serve 25 people in Newfane, which is a lot of people in Newfane. We're not that big. And also, you can fudge those kinds of figures any which way by saying what is a person, is it a family, is it a section of the community? But I caution the select board to use that standard, because as you see with our schools, you have 15 kids in a kindergarten 1 year and then you have 40 the next. These charities work at really tight margins, and you're liable not to fund somebody and help them go under. Then when you have the people that need the services, they won't be there. So I would caution you to use that standard.
Dan, I would urge us, in spite of Rescue's report not being in the back of the book, in view of year after year supporting Rescue, I would just move that we advocate that we just vote for this.
Is there any further discussion?
For the whole budget?
We are voting on the amended budget at this point. Is there any further discussion? Yes.
I know that last year the select board put in $25,000 to pay for the mutual aid for the fire department without putting it in as an article, and we went right through and we accepted that. And I have personally probably no problem with that, though I didn't think to ask them to assist me when I fractured my rib a few years ago. But my question here is, or statement, we used to have a line item that said that the fire departments paid for the diesel fuel. They fill up their trucks at the town garage. But we took that out, and now we're just having all of the fire department vehicles being on the town taxpayers' dollar. And I'm just wondering if there's any accounting, how many gallons were actually went out for fire, and how much is, on our town trucks and that kind of thing, because I think that gets to be a little slippery slope. Oh, I think I'll just, and as I say, it used to be an income item, and would just be billed from the town so that we would get that and balance it out. And now it's just not only the $25,000 for mutual aid, but we also tossed in $2,000, $5,000 a year, I don't know. That's actually going to our fire departments.
I was one of the ones that suggested not to make them pay for the fuel. Because, it's a volunteer fire department, they're having a hell of a time doing it, just like the mutual aid here, what they raise that money for. And one of the things I had a problem even with rescue is, we're paying rescue $40-some thousand a year. They come up here and pick you up, and then they actually get paid to haul you off or whatever else. Our fire department is probably as good as Rescue Inc. The guys on our rescue and our fire department, and they're getting like $20-some thousand a year, and they're out buying trucks, they're buying all this equipment. You know, Williamsville, I mean, here a couple of years ago, we raised them a couple $1,000 on a thing, and you know, they have to buy that mutual aid and all that stuff. And they were looking to close it. I mean, because they're having a hell of a time meeting with the thing. I mean, the way I look at it, it should be reversed around. I mean, we should be paying our fire department the 48 grand and rescue the 20. I mean, well, I think it is accounted. I'm sure they've got it all right on the slip, and I don't see them when Todd turns them in or whatever, but I know at the pumps they have slips right there, they write everything down. But, I mean, I just think that the whole thing should be turned around.
Yes. Sharon Astley, Newfane. Does Williamsville Fire Department go up there also?
Yes.
They do? Okay, that's
Just starting on.
Is there further discussion, Pete?
I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of the rescue, supporting rescue. However, I would like to see them tell us for the report, starting again next year, what they've done with our money.
Is there any further discussion on?
Madam Moderator, through you to the previous speaker, duly noted.
Thank you. All right. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we're going to vote on Article 10 as amended, which reads, shall the voters of the Town of Newfane authorize Town and Highway operational expenditures in the amount of $1,384,086. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and Article 10 passes. Article 11. Do the voters of the Town of Newfane wish to keep or look into the possibility of keeping 2 recycling bins on town property? This is a non-binding vote. Is there a motion? If it's non-binding, there doesn't need to be a motion. So we can just discuss this. Is there someone on the Select Board who wants to explain why this non-binding motion is on the warning?
Yes, actually, I'm sure most all of you, if not all of you, know that there's some big changes coming up with Wyndham Solid Waste taking recycling. And we have very popular recycling bins. It's not only our town recycles there, but lots of other people do stop by and recycle as well. It's very popular, it's very well used. They're going to be, they have voted not to be part of MRF, which I can't remember what MRF actually means. Municipal something or other. But what it actually means is the recycling bins in individual towns, and that they're taken and dumped off at the large recycling place in the Sky over in Brattleboro. So we now are going to have to come up with a plan. Either we're going to have to, if we want to continue, if you want to continue with recycling bins, then they're going to need to be paid for to be taken off. And it can be a private hauler. It could actually, there is something, Johanna's going to speak in a moment and tell you more about this. But we have gone over back and forth, everything from transfer stations. We've talked about this ad nauseum. And we've come to the conclusion that we need your help. We need your input so that we can make a good decision. We have those recycling bins as they are until July, but we need to be planning ahead. So that's why this is here, and that's why we're seeking discussion. And it would be really great if we could have our representative, Johanna, speak to this as well.
Yeah. Johanna, are you willing to do that? Great. There you go.
And I have a paper to look at. Is that okay?
That's fine. Johanna asked permission to read from the paper. No objections? We're going to hear about solid waste.
So I'm Johanna Gardner, and I'm the Newfane rep to the district. There are 20 towns in the district. I go there with the idea in mind that I'm trying to get the best deal for our town, but also I really think that recycling and being mindful of our waste is a huge problem facing us, and it's not getting any better. The state has a lot of mandates that they're passing down to us, and those are changing the landscape constantly. So what happened recently, this happened in December, unfortunately, so timing-wise it was really difficult for us because, of course, everybody's figuring out their budget. A number of towns voted to close the MRF, and they mostly did it for their own personal reasons. It's kind of hard, you know, you have a district, every town is in the district to collectively figure out the best solution, but sometimes for certain towns something else works better than for the other towns, so you end up in a kind of difficult place. So that's sort of what happened in December, and as a result, all the towns found themselves with no MRF. So the MRF is the place where all those big bins get taken to, the material goes onto conveyor belt, there's a whole bunch of people in there who sort through the stuff physically, you know, picking paper out or bottles, and you know, it requires about 10 people in there to run that thing. There's a lot of machinery involved, it breaks, it's expensive stuff. So that's kind of what they're dealing with down there. So the MRF was voted closed, which means that now we have a couple of choices. We could just not offer recycling. There's a lot of people in town who have private haulers coming to their house. Those haulers are mandated by law now to pick up recycled materials from your house, as well as your trash. So if you've already got that going, then this is kind of a non-issue for you. But I know in our household, we recycle, and it reduces our trash tremendously, and we end up going to those recycling bins almost once a week. So if the recycling bins go away, for us, it's going to mean that we have to store all that stuff and take it down to Brattleboro. And what's going to happen in Brattleboro is that they're going to start charging for recycling being brought there. So if you're somebody who doesn't have a hauler coming to your house and you deal with your trash yourself, you will see an increase in fees in that respect. So I did make a little chart to show you a couple of options. Can I put this down for a second, Molly? This is for me. Hey. I have to say. So, I mean, there's a lot of variables to this. One of the things is that the price of the commodities are going up and down. So you know that recently we were taking 1 through 7s. In other words, when you look at the bottom of a plastic bottle, it has a little triangle and it has a number in there, and that has to do with what kind of plastic it is. So the 1s and 2s have right along been valuable, but the 3 through 7s, not so much. And what they were doing was they were taking them all, but they had to bale them up, and they took a huge amount of space, and they weren't selling for anything. So that's why they stopped taking them. In other parts, like down in Massachusetts, those things still have some value, so those places do recycle those things. It's not that they can't be recycled up here, but ultimately it's the dollar that drives everything. So right now, I mean, these are 3 possible scenarios. And we're talking about only 2 bins now, so that means that we would probably have a cardboard paper bin and bottles and glass, and no longer the flat cardboard. So there are a number of private haulers out there. This figure, you know, we'd come in for less than $30,000 a year to have those 2 bins. And yeah, so that's one figure. Then we have, I've sort of spearheaded an idea of continuing to use the MRF with only the towns who want to do that. Because the truth is there were more towns who wanted the MRF to stay open. However, Brattleboro gets 6 votes to everybody else's 1 vote. So this largely has to do with Brattleboro's issues, which are not our issues. So at the district, we're looking to see if we can somehow keep the MRF open. Then there's this other idea of opening a transfer station, which would be a longer term solution, and it's more involved and it will actually cost more, but there are various reasons why it would be a good thing. One of the things is that one of the main drivers of the price here is actually hauling the stuff from Newfane to Brattleboro and then from wherever to wherever. And when you do a transfer station, you can get a compactor that squishes all your recyclables down, and so you do fewer hauls. So that's a kind of a big scenario. Let's see. A couple of considerations. This is really going to be up to the select board to look at and study and figure out, and I'm happy to help in any way I can. And there are, you know, Bob Spencer, who is the director of the district board. He is always very willing to come up and talk to the towns and help out in any way he can. Let's see. I talked about the choices. Oh, the bins. It sounds like we have to find a new location for the bins because from what I understand, the land that they are on currently is in the process of being sold. So we're not sure what that's going to look like. That's what I've understood. Yes, I told you if we don't have service in Newfane, you can take your recyclables to Brat, but you will have to pay something. And that fee still has to be figured out. And I guess beyond that, if we do come up with a solution that costs in the $20,000 to $30,000 range for the town, that represents a $10 to $30 increase annually on your taxes. So it's not huge. So if we went with something along the lines of $30,000 cost, if you have a $100,000 home, I think I have this right, that would be a $30 increase on your taxes annually. And I think if people, you think it sounds like a lot? That's what I understood from Shannon. If you have questions, more questions about the district, there's a lot I could tell you about it, but I figured in the interest of time, it might be better not to go on with stories of the Wyndham Solid Waste.
Actually, I'm going to take back. The select board reminds me that, I mean, this is really helpful. Thank you. It shows us what the scenario is. This is non-binding, and what the select board wants to know really is, does the town of Newfane wish to keep or look into the possibility of keeping 2 recycling bins on town property? And that's what's here. It's non-binding. They want some advice. Johanna has provided us with great scenarios of possibilities. I am thinking that this is going to take some more informational meetings of what can be done. We can talk about it now. I mean, I don't want to stop conversation, but I do want to keep it somewhat focused on what we can reasonably accomplish today and what the select board has asked for. So with that in mind, Johanna is here to answer questions. You are here with your creative problem-solving brains. Does somebody want to speak? Go ahead.
Johanna, if option B were to be considered, would that possibly include the bins and hauling to Brattleboro?
Yes.
The bins in Newfane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One clarification, according to information on page 8, for every $28,000 of expense, it would raise the taxes on a $100,000 home about $1.
That's a big difference.
About $1 per 100,000. For 28,000.
Lisa.
Lisa Harris, 7th. I would say I would like to support keeping some recycling in the town. I think it's a great idea, and I'd be happy to come to a select board meeting and help discuss it.
Take note. Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is, we're gonna have recycling in town, no matter if you have the dumpsters or not. And they came to us. It's not like we went to see them. They came up and told us that they were pretty much closing down the MRF because it's not affordable. And if they kept it around, it's gonna cost, millions of dollars to refurbish this thing and all this. They came to us and told us that their dumpsters and trucks and all that stuff, I mean, they're gonna hold on to them for a year or so. And that all goes away come 1st of July. So if we want to keep recycling, we have to hire somebody else. Nobody really knows what it's going to cost to get rid of this stuff. And, Bob Spencer told us too, it's going to go up. It's going to be expensive because, it's the same as everything. The state brings these mandates down on us with no solutions to it. And they leave it up to us to figure it out. And it'll be just as expensive per ton as your garbage for done, because they don't have the things to do it. And just like you've got that figure at $270 a load, and if you use a compactor, it's still only going to be $270. It's not. It's going to be by the ton. So if you compress 4 or 5 trailer loads into one load, you're going to pay probably more like $1,000, $1,500 load instead of the $270, because he's not going to truck that stuff enough. And it's like he told us, when this all comes effect, like the dumpster, probably some of you guys remember it, when the dumps closed down, that was a solution to help cut down on some of the garbage and stuff like that. They had the dumpsters come into town. That's what he told us. It was a convenience for the towns to have these dumpsters. And the convenience is gone because it's no longer affordable.
Well,
index. And if it was, they'd still do it.
Is there people who haven't spoken? Yeah, go ahead.
You're probably right, and I don't think it's really a question of what's the cheapest arrangement. I think it's a question of, do we want to take things which can be recycled and throw them in the trash or not? Myself, I don't. I'm willing to pay money if things can be recycled and actually used again. That makes more sense to me than just trashing. So I hope we don't yet again just think of this simply in terms of dollars and cents. What does it make sense for us to do living on the planet? It's more of a question.
Well, like what he said too, one of the things is all your private haulers now have to offer recycling. I mean, just like myself, I hire a guy to pick my garbage up from my house, probably a lot of people do, and part of that thing is they take your recycling and stuff like that, and it's, it's $40 a month, and they come through and they pick up my garbage and my recycling. They have to offer it. If you're going to be in the business for haul garbage nowadays through the state of Vermont, you have to offer recycling.
Yeah, so people have spoken now. Yeah, Kim.
Kim Friedman, South Newfane. A couple of things. I think to be a climate resilient community, we need to do as much as we can to maximize recycling and compliance. And I think we'll maximize compliance if it doesn't require everybody having to pay for their own hauling. And I also think the second point is that there's an economy of scale that's achieved if we have some kind of municipal recycling opportunity rather than everybody expecting that everybody's going to pay for private hauling to compensate for a loss of a centralized depository. So all in all, I think it's an important service for the town to be providing to its citizens with climate change and climate resiliency in mind. Thank you.
Yeah. I would like to say that the market is very volatile. And right now, apparently, the paper market is going up in a big way. So the guy with the compactor said that we would be getting about 60 to 65 bucks per ton back as rebates to paper. So, you know, you have to, and I think this is part of the problem that the district had, is that the market fell, the bottom fell. You have this place called Casella Waste. It's a big company that deals with only single stream. Single stream is a messy way of doing recycling. It's easier for the consumer. You chuck everything in one bin. If you take the time to separate those things so that you have paper over here and the bottles and stuff over here, that's already a huge thing in terms of what you can sell that paper for. It's now worth a lot more. And at the district, it's still a place where they do that. They separate it, and so they get more money for the paper, and it's better overall. You end up with a really good product. When you put everything in one bin, a lot of times it gets contaminated, and when stuff gets contaminated, it goes all into the dump. So, you know, again, my idea is try to be responsible. I also think it's really important for us to have control of our own facility down in Brattleboro, because you know, we go with private haulers, and who knows, they hike the price, and we have no other alternative. So, that's my...
Isn't that close to no matter what, though? Come June, I mean, no matter what we're going to do, it's still going to go to single stream. It's just like we have, because we have our dumpsters. I mean, we keep them here. I'm not against having the things here, but it's going to go to a single stream. Because, you know, the guys that you've asked, they don't have somebody recycling all that material. That all goes into a single stream thing. It's going to end up at Casella. They're the ones that be back behind most of this thing anyway throughout the state. So I mean, but it's all going to end up there. It's not the Murphy. It's not horrible for them, so they're not going to keep that sort of thing.
Go ahead. And then,
well, you know, we're in a period of fluctuation, right? There was this vote. Most of the towns have kind of gone, oh God, I guess we have to deal with this. And I said, why do we have to deal with this? Let's look at, can we run the MRF with the towns that want to run the MRF, and the ones who don't want to be part of it, they go and do their own thing. And that's where we are right now. Is that viable? So really this week they're running the numbers to figure out if that can work. Because it will mean a reduced number of workers. You know, can you hire them for part-time? I don't know. There's a lot of considerations, but they're trying to see if that's viable. My understanding is that our stuff is not going to Casella. It's going someplace else. I can't remember if it's Keene or where it is, but we don't separate everything and then have it all get shut together. That's not what's happening. Maybe it will happen in the future.
Actually, Tristram hasn't spoken to this, so I'm going to call on him before you, Margaret. And then I just want to remind everybody, we're being asked to say that the select board wants advice about whether to keep some kind of recycling in town or not, and depending on the answer to that, there will then be a chance to solve the problem. So we don't have to solve the problem today, although it's wonderful to hear that there are possible solutions. Tristan.
Well, dovetailing on your point, Tristram Johnson, Newfane, I kind of like to call the question, but it's inappropriate because it doesn't apply. I'd like to encourage a solution suggestion now so that this conversation, these thoughts can move forward in some sort of positive path. Does that mean a committee? Does that mean that the select board wants a group of people to meet together?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to add something more that we need to consider when we're...
We have something that we need to consider while we're voting about the possibility to keep 2 recycling bins on town property. And that is that, as Johanna said, the place where the bins are now, that property is very likely going to be sold to a private person. And so we have to think about where, if we do decide to keep those bins, where in the town are they going to be? And when Carol referred to these bins several minutes ago about being very popular, they're not just popular with the citizens of Newfane, they're popular with all the people who drive by from other states, particularly on a Sunday after weekends, and going into that parking lot and using those bins, which they're not supposed to be doing. And so what happens is that if you drive by that parking lot, you will often see a lot of garbage and recycling products all over the place on the ground, and there's a lot of upset about that. So it's not just, oh, do we want to keep the bins? We're going to have to find a place to put the bins.
Margaret.
I just want to say that this is hugely, hugely important to me and my family that we have recycling in Newfane. And the thought of not having anything and having people rely on private trash haulers is horrible. And many people can't afford private trash haulers. And they're not very, they're pretty wasteful of gas. So I just, whatever you consider, just know that it's a very important value for many of your citizens.
Thank you very much. May I respond to her comment? Thank you very much. I think I personally feel like I've gotten a message from many of you and about the need to have some type of town recycling. And so, but also there's so many other facets to this decision, and it would be great if some of you who have spoken and made suggestions could actually come or talk or call in and say that you'd like to step up and maybe attend a meeting or two with us as we go forward and trying to put the puzzle pieces together to make sure that you have your needs met and the town has their needs met, and yet it's not going to cost us all an arm and a leg. So I would really like to encourage you to do that.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to make absolutely certain that Wyndham Solid after July 1st will be open as a dump. Possibly whatever, 6 months a year.
I'm sorry, what was the last bit?
Will it be open, period, as a corporate entity?
It will be open, I don't think it's a corporate.
Well, will it be
Yes, it's
open beyond?
And they will have recycling bins, but you will have to pay, you'll have to have a sticker to use the bins. Whereas before they were open to the public.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Article 11? And Select Board, do you feel you've gotten enough information? Do you want to hear a non-binding vote?
Absolutely. You've given us some good information so far, but I think you understand this is a very dynamic and potentially very expensive proposition for the town, and it's going to be changing a lot over the next few months. And if some of you were interested in coming forward to volunteer to serve on a recycling committee, that'd be a tremendous amount of help to your fellow citizens as well as to the Select Board.
All right. Yes.
We are so grateful
Can't
to
hear you.
have Johanna.
Microphone.
We, the Select Board, are very, very grateful for having Johanna work as a liaison.
All right. So just to give the Select Board a sense from the people, you hardy folks who are still here, those in favor of recycling will answer. I'm just going to ask you, Article 11. Do the voters of the Town of Newfane wish to keep or look into the possibility of keeping 2 recycling bins on town property? Those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no? I think you have your answer. All right. Article, and where will people who are interested in serving on the recycling committee?
Well, we have to inform you, but so that is incentive form.
All right.
But we would like you to contact Shannon, write a letter, email, telephone message, and I'm sure we can know about that, so we will inform Shannon. But, and I think that maybe we can all put our heads together and come up with a real good solution for our town.
Great. Article 12, to transact any other business that may legally come before the town, and it will all be non-binding. Yes, Chris.
Chris Campney. I'm chair of the Incorporated Village Trustees, along with Bob Litchfield and Ken Schauer. I just want folks to know that just the 60 taxpayers in the village that are responsible for the street lights. We're entering into an agreement with Efficiency of Vermont to replace all those lights with LEDs free of charge. It's going to save the village just in the first year like $1,300 in electric costs. And they won't be perpetually burning out, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. The other thing too, just a reminder that the Union Hall doesn't receive any funding from the town. That still relies on the 60 taxpayers in the village. So we welcome its use and its stewardship. And if you want to use it, reach out to any of the trustees. We'll be happy to help. But just, I don't know to what extent people in the town realize that it's just the 60 taxpayers in the village that pay for its maintenance and upkeep, and then whatever donations we get. So just wanted folks to be aware of that.
Yes, other in back.
Jake Urado, South Newfane. I just wanted to bring up a point that had to do with the town hall vote and the town office vote. And I heard from somebody that, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard of possibility, some people wanted a third vote for the town office. And I just want to state my opinion on the situation. I think a new town hall would be wonderful, but I just keep seeing the tax situation, and a lot of our taxpayers getting older and some being on a fixed income, and it really worries me, us taking on huge expenditures. Personally, I am for renovations of our town office, whatever we need. But now, I now have a different perspective as far as taxpayers and our money coming in. I have 2 kids, they're adult kids now. They both continue their education. They both had to move out of the area so that they could get jobs to pay school loans. And I do have one of them back. They both love this area. My second one would like to come back, but they need to be able to afford to live up here. And we need our young people to come back. They're talking about the enrollment in our schools going down. We need families here to share this tax burden. We need kids coming into our schools so that our schools remain viable and our property values are stable, because people want to move to this area. And I just want to say that I think we need to think very carefully about taking on huge projects like a brand new building, maybe just maintaining what we have. Thank you.
Just
Thank you. I'm troubled a little bit by that motion that we all passed having to do with transferring $206,000. I went through the book, and I discovered that as a footnote on page 19, we had $147,000 capital reserve fund balance. Then when I did the math for fiscal 16, it shows that we have $100,253, but there's nothing transferred in fiscal 17, and the total transferred for 18 doesn't equal anything like those two numbers. So I guess what I'm asking for is, could you, the next time you put together this budget, track far more clearly this capital reserve, capital expense, and balance, so we know what's happening? Thank you.
Sir.
Mike Mayor Wadensville, thank you for that, and I would like to follow up, and more specifically, could you provide near term an explanation for all of that Article 7 discussion, which I think left us all pretty confused. I was asking people around the room, did you understand what was just passed? And I didn't find anybody who did. So it would be really nice to have an explanation for that. And if there's anything outstanding, I don't know if there's a way for us to weigh in on it. But I think there's a lot of lack of clarification on that Article 7 in relation to what you were just saying. So it would be very helpful for us as taxpayers to better understand that.
I did ask Ken and then you.
Okay. Through you to the previous speaker, we will, it's duly noted, and we will put an explanation on the town website and explain all the mastications of where the money is. It's all in accounts. None of it has gone to our tremendous, as you notice, our tremendous income as Board of Selectmen members. At least the school board gets a stipend.
The chair recognizes Ken Esty.
Ken Esty, Newfane. To shift the topics and looking for the advice of the moderator and others, is it possible that I bring forward a non-binding resolution at this time?
Everything is non-binding at this time.
Right, so there we are. So that's what I'd like to do is present a non-binding resolution. May I read from this?
It's up to the members. May he read from that?
Yes. Sure. Okay, here
There
it
you
is.
go.
Very short. The town of Newfane declares its intention to welcome and protect the rights of immigrants and refugees who are already in or who seek to come to our community and our state. To accomplish this goal, the citizens of Newfane call upon the Select Board to consider the formation of a committee to explore ways to make our community safe for immigrants and refugees.
There's no need for second. This is non-binding. This is open for discussion. It is a resolution regarding immigrants and refugees, but the main intent, it seems, is to direct the Select Board to create a committee. Is that correct? Okay. So please, let's have conversation about this. Is there any? Let's have people say this one at a time. Go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to pass it to the select board and they can put it into the record. Sounds like a great idea.
If there's no discussion, do you want to give the select board some indication of your feelings? Oh, just a minute. There is discussion. There is discussion.
Point of order. If it's a non-binding resolution, I'm pretty sure it still needs to be a motion. It still gets seconded, and it still gets voted on. It's just non-binding. So we always vote. If it's a non-binding resolution, it deserves a vote.
We were right. We were just about to vote. We were just actually. I because of the Act 46, I did check on this with the people in Montpelier who know what we're supposed to do, and I'm pretty confident that we don't need a motion on this, but we can still vote on it because it's non-binding. So, and now we're going to ask you. I'm going to ask Ken to read this again, and then you can vote. If you're in support of it, you will say, I'll give you a cue. You can say aye or nay. So just read it again for us, please.
The town of Newfane declares its intention to welcome and protect the rights of immigrants and refugees who are already in or who seek to come to our community and our state. To accomplish this goal, citizens of Newfane call upon the Select Board to consider the formation of a committee to explore ways to make our community safe for immigrants and refugees.
All right. So all those in favor of this motion, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed by saying no. So that is pretty clear indication. Is there any more non-binding business to come before the board? Here you go.
I just want to say something.
Are there any other, is there a motion to adjourn?
Before the motion to adjourn, I was going to say thanks to the select board. You guys have put in a lot of time.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? And are those people in favor? Anybody want to stay? No. Thank you.